Which of the following is not a type of communication? A. Sarcotic. B. Telecommunications and Internet. C. Message. D. Non-verbal and verbal communication. And the correct answer is C. Message. Message is a component of communication process, not a type of communication. Socratic is method of teaching by question and answer. In the process of communication by which the receiver deciphers or interpret A. Decoding. B. Feedback. C. Encoding. D. Message. And the correct answer is A. Decoding. Decoding is a process of interpretation of coded information into a understandable form by receiver in a process of communication. Which method of communication is very popular and has reached in remote area? A. Visual communication. B. Formal communication. C. Verbal communication. D. Telecommunication. And the correct answer is D. Telecommunication. Some important example of telecommunication technologies are telegraph, telephone, radio, television, and the public internet. In the communication process, a receiver is A. A message pathway. B. The person who encodes the idea. C. Message interference. D. The person who decodes the message. And the correct answer is D. The person who decodes the message. In the communication process, a receiver is a person who decodes a message into a understandable form. The flow of information between persons of the same hierarchy level. This helps in improving understanding between equals is known as which type of communication? A. Oral communication. B. Horizontal communication. C. Upward communication. D. Downward communication. And the correct answer is B. Horizontal communication. Communications that take place at same level of hierarchy in an organization is called horizontal or lateral communication. For example, communication between peers and communication between management at same level. In communication process, which is also known as decoder, A. Channel. B. Message. C. Sender. D. Receiver. And the correct answer is D. Receiver. Message receiver is known as decoder in the communication process who decodes a message into a understandable form. In the communication, to encoding means A. Speaking to a large group of people. B. Interpret a code. C. Translate idea in a code. D. Block a pathway between sender and receiver. And the correct answer is C. Translate idea in a code. Translating message into verbal or non-verbal symbols to communicate the receiver is known as A. Encoding. B. Decoding. C. Recoding. D. Precoding. And the correct answer is A. Encoding. Encoding means translating information of a message in the form of verbal and non-verbal symbols or code by sender for the process of communication. Non-verbal communication includes all the following except A. Facial expression, B. Gesture, C. Vocabulary, D. Posture and gait. And the correct answer is C. Vocabulary. Communication without words called non-verbal communication. It involves body activity like posture, gesture, gait, body language, touch and facial expression. Communication by verbal words or even written words called verbal communication. Command, order and systemization are associated with which type of communication? A. Two-way communication, B. Interpersonal communication, C. One-way communication, D. Serial communication. And the correct answer is C. One-way communication. One-way communication flows from a sender to a receiver but no feedback. The sender can use one-way communication to order, inform, entertain, convince or command the person. Some examples of one-way communication includes television, radio, writings, speeches and performance.